Hello everybody, welcome back. We're now going to talk about sports and journalism. How does journalism survive in this age of digital media and social media where everything has changed? We're going to have a panel afterwards, but to kick off the session, we're going to start with a talk by Dr. Andreas Wiele, who's CEO of Axel Springer Digital, and who's also sat on the Springer Executive Board since 2000. And of course, Axel Springer, as you know, around the corner here, is one of the world's biggest publishing groups, and it's had to find ways to deal with the digital revolution and the rise of social media. And Dr. Wiele is going to tell us a bit about the group's strategy, especially as regards sport. So, Dr. Andreas Wiele, please.
Thank you, Simon. I was actually very excited to come here and talk to you this afternoon until I stumbled across a study that was published very recently by the Berlin University. This study studied the degree of attention an international audience has after the coffee break when the next speaker is on. And there is a direct correlation between the citizenship of the speaker and the number of minutes you're going to listen to me. So I'm a German, and according to this study, I will have all of you listening to me for about 60 seconds. Then, after 5 minutes, 30% of you will not listen to me anymore. And after 10 minutes, 70% will not listen to me anymore. But the interesting fact is, and it's research, so you have to believe it, 7 out of 10 who don't, so the 70% who don't listen to me anymore, 80% of them have sexual daydreams. So I wish you enjoy the next minutes, one way or the other. I hope I just prolonged my attention span for 60 seconds. I will talk to you about journalism and sport, and obviously I cannot not talk to you about what the internet and the digital revolution is doing to printed media, is doing to journalism. And I want to start out just to show you, and it's also always nice to do that, 3 covers of our biggest newspaper, Bild newspaper. And these are the 3 covers that were published the Monday after Germany won the World Cup, 74, 90, and 2014. So this is the one in 1974. I was 12 years old. Bild sold 5 million copies that day of that issue, 5 million copies on the newsstand. 16 years later, I was in Rome in the stadium, saw Andi Brehme shoot his 1-0, 6.2 million copies sold. So 5 million, 6.2 million. And now, 2014, our last victory, next one is coming in 4 years, 2.8 million copies. 6.2, 2.8. So this is a radical change for an industry, and it's more than that. An industry that has been blossoming for almost 60 years after World War II, that only knew one trend up, is suddenly faced with a radical change that changes the face of the media world forever, because our business model was a fantastic one. The business model had 3 main sources of revenue. Obviously, we put journalism on paper, sold it to our readers, turned around, sold the readers as audience to our advertising clients, and then also, very importantly, so in newspapers, created the so-called classified marketplaces, which are for jobs, real estate, and cars, the small classified advertising, and it was the only place to find a job, the only place to find a car or to find a used car or to find a new flat, you had to go to the regional or national leading newspaper. And that gave us an extra revenue stream that had nothing to do with journalism. So what has now the internet done? It has basically simply taken the paper away from this artificial combination of these different businesses and has ripped them apart. And so now journalism cannot be financed anymore by the classified marketing, cannot be financed anymore directly by most of the advertising, and obviously, most importantly so, the internet is offering all journalism for free now. This sounds like a disaster. In fact, it's a great opportunity. Why? Because it liberates journalism, it liberates our business models from the paper and allows us to distribute to ever more people and to create independent businesses that don't rely on newspapers and magazines anymore. Axel Springer had in 2006, it's a company with 3 billion revenues, and in 2006, 24 million of this 3 billion revenue was from digital. 1 million of its profits, 1% of its profit were from digital. In 2014, 50% of our revenues are from digital, and 2/3 of our profits are from digital. So we have brought from 24 million revenue to 1.5 billion revenue, and from 1% of our profit to 2/3 of our profits, our digital business. And for journalism, it has also meant a lot of new opportunities, because it used to be that our journalists had a monopoly in writing about sports in the newspaper. There was basically public broadcasting, and then there was the newspaper, but now there's many more sources and opportunities for our journalists. They can publish on a daily basis, on a daily basis, on minute by minute. They can write about new things, new developments. We have moving pictures, which are obviously great new opportunities, and we have suddenly the social community that can also work and contribute to contents. For instance, we acquired a company called transfermarkt.de, which has become the leading source for the value of players. And it is a community-based only website where fans and specialists who work not for money, but who work for the love of football contribute to the content of this website, and it has become such a credible source that now Bild newspaper and all our other newspapers and third-party media are using this as the source for the value, transfer market value of football players. Obviously, the question of how to monetize these new digital audiences, and to give you a couple of numbers. Bild, I told you that this issue was sold 2.8 million copies. Bild's website reach has now 16 million unique users per month. We have 5 million online mobile users, but until a little over 1 year ago, none of them paid. And we very much believe that journalism in the future can only survive if we also dare to put a price on online journalism, at least on parts of online journalism, in the digital world. And so we have changed our business model from a pure free to all consumers, free content for all consumers, to a freemium model in the last summer with Bild, and started putting paid content, premium content behind the ugly paywall. The term paywall is not so nice, but it can also be called an invitation to subscribe or to become a member. and then it sounds better, but it's the same. So there's some articles which are only available for paid users. We have started with nothing. We acquired as additional tool to be attractive the highlight rights of the German Bundesliga to be shown in short clips 40 minutes after the end of each game. And we have managed to gain 240,000 paying subscribers now to our Bild Plus offering from zero. And gaining 240,000 subscribers from scratch is a very, very big number, and no printed newspaper or magazine has ever done that in such a short amount of time. But it's just the start, and it's especially just the start because all of our competitors are not following it. For the individual sports journalists, it has changed actually quite a lot. Journalists in the pure print times, they were measuring their success by how much copy one newspaper or a cover or a magazine sold. But they never knew how much they individually contributed to the success of this individual cover or magazine. When the free internet came up, there was suddenly a way to measure the success. You could obviously count the hits of each article. So how many readers did I get with my article? And journalists suddenly started comparing the hits and clicks of the individual article. But now it is even more exciting for them because suddenly with our freemium model, you can actually measure how many subscribers did an individual article gain. Because on our website, you really hit the paywall with a given article, and then you can see how many people say, wow, I really want to read this and this article, so I go and subscribe to the whole offering. And we have one of our best performing articles in the sense is actually the column of our editor-in-chief of Sportbild, the former deputy editor of Bild, Alfred Draxler. You perhaps have heard about his column Nachgehakt. And he gets several hundreds of new subscribers every day just because people want to read his column. He's extremely happy and proud about it. And he can say, look, I now know how much money my article made for Bild and for Axel Springer. And there's suddenly a very new competition, a race going on that measures that attractiveness. So we believe that the digital world, although it clearly destroys our old business model, and it's nothing but short but destroying it, there's very, very few exceptions. We'll hear later on in the group discussion, we'll hear one exception, but there's only one trend for paper, it will go down. And so the only way to really take this as an opportunity is to seize the digital opportunities. And it's a very difficult thing to do, to see that you have to actively cannibalize your own business, because we try actively to move our readers from the print edition, which they're paying for, to the free edition, still mostly free edition in the digital world, which advertisers and pay, but users don't pay. And this is the most important thing to achieve for a company if you want to make this successful transition, and very few companies actually do. If you look at the music industry, when the music industry was revolutionized through the internet, most of the traditional music companies were not successful, and the biggest music publisher now or benefitor from the digital world is now Apple with iTunes, and then Spotify and so on. It is very difficult for the incumbents to revolutionize your own business. You might now think that you are mostly from the football industry, this doesn't matter. You are in an industry that is growing, that only knows one trend, that is up. That's what we also thought. That's what the music industry thought. That's what the publishers are thinking, we're thinking, and that's still mostly what the television operators are thinking. I don't know what can happen to your industry, but be always aware of it, that there also might be a moment where your industry is suddenly faced with a radical change, and there's only two possible attitudes that can help you. First of all, stay paranoid. Always look around the corner. What can happen to really radically change your industry? And then embrace that change and actively destroy your own core business if necessary to be also leader in the new business. Because if you don't destroy your own business, others are out there who have nothing to lose, who will do everything to gain market share and to destroy your business to build up their new one. I hope this is never going to happen to football, and I especially hope this will never happen to my hometown, Hamburger SV, which is on the brink of happening, but it won't. And with these couple of insights, thank you very much, and I hope you enjoyed the speech.